Caddy.
Okay, here we go. Harry, did you, when we traced angle 1, where else does it fit? You're saying that it fits exactly on 3.
Yeah.
Okay, Kari, what does that mean about angle 1 and angle 3?
Wait, isn't that what that one means?
Are they the same or are they different?
They're the same.
They're the same. Do you agree with Harry plus Kari's conclusion that angle 1 and angle 3 are the same?
Yes.
What do you think is going to be true about angle 2 and angle 4? How about you trace them just to double check?
You said. Wow, it does.
Do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this diagram right here, we have vertical angles. Okay, vertical angles are when 2 angles are across from each other when we have 2 intersecting lines. Okay, so like angle 1 and angle 3, those 2 angles are vertical angles. They're across from each other when we have 2 intersecting lines. Okay, angles 2 and angle 4, those are vertical angles. They're across from each other with 2 intersecting lines. Okay, since they are the same measure in geometry, we say that they are congruent. Do you remember that word from last year? Well, congruent in geometry means the same measure. Because it's an 8th grade standard. I know. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Because they are vertical angles. So when we're talking about geometric shapes or like angles, when we're talking about angles, if 2 angles have the same measure, we call it congruent, which means we have an equal sign and a squiggly above it. Okay. All right. Now, adjacent. Whose room is adjacent to mine? Miss Rue's. Why is her room adjacent to mine? What do we share? We share a wall. We also share a hallway. I see where you get that. Okay, but me and Miss Rue have rooms that share a wall. Okay, when we are talking about adjacent angles, okay, we are talking about 2 angles that have a common side and a common vertex. So B is where they both meet, and then their common side is what I have highlighted right here in blue. Okay, basically adjacent means that they are next to each other. They're next doors. They share a wall, but it's not a wall, it's a side of an angle. Okay. Cold? Oh, I'm warm. All right. Complementary. I know you know this one. Complementary. 2 angles in which the sum means what? Addition. What did they add up to be? 90 degrees. Okay, so in this picture, we would say, okay, the measure of angle 7 added to the measure of angle 8 is going to be 90 degrees. If they are complementary, excuse me, the sum equals 90 degrees. Okay. Now, complementary angles do not have to be adjacent. In this picture, they are, but they do not have to be. Okay. If you have a 30-degree angle over here and a 60-degree angle over here, we're still complementary. All right, supplementary. Same thing except what? Okay. Supplementary means our sum is 180 degrees. So in this picture, we have two angles who add up to be 180 degrees. Okay, so the M in front of our angle, and this is something you'll talk a lot more about in geometry, but when we're talking about like the amount of degrees an angle is, we put M for measure. So what's the actual like degree amount? Okay. I'm not going to be picky about notation right now. Okay. All right, so let's talk about these 6 right here. Okay. What do we know in number 1 about angles 1 and angles 2? Ellery, what's something you can tell me about them? Okay, good. So what does that mean about angle 1 and angle 2? They are what? Complementary. There's one more thing we could say about this pair of angles. Ooh, very good, Kari. They are adjacent. How do we know that they are adjacent? They're right next to each other, sharing a wall. There's the wall. See what I mean? Euphemism. I was just trying to like paint a picture for you, help you out. Moving on to number 2. Kyron, what can you tell me about angle 1 and angle 2?
They're adjacent.
They are adjacent. Can we say anything else about these 2 angles? No, they're not complementary. They don't make a 90-degree angle. They also don't make a straight line, so they're not supplementary. Okay. All right, how about in number 3? Henry, what's one thing we can say about these 2? They are adjacent. They are right next to each other, okay? Noah, there's one more thing we can say about these 2 angles. They are supplementary. They add up to 180. Ooh, great question. So if we're talking about angle 1, this guy over here would be vertical. Okay. So since we're only talking about these 2 angles, they're right next to each other, forming a straight line. So we're adjacent and supplementary. Now, Ellery, how about number 4? In this picture, what's true about these 2 angles? These are our vertical angles. Okay. All right, Brooks, what about number 5? What's true about those 2 angles? Good. Can we say that these 2 are adjacent? Nope, they're supplementary because we can add them together to be 180, but they're not next to each other. So we just say supplementary. Okay. Drew, what about number 6? These 2 for sure add up to be 90 degrees. So we can say that those 2 are complementary. I would like you to turn to the next page, please. Okay. All right. So now let's actually do some algebra. Okay. In number 13, Ellery, what is X?
107.
Izzy, how does she know that it's 107? Ooh, thank you for using the vocabulary. Because it's vertical, we know vertical angles are congruent. Okay. Now, what about for problem number 14? Okay. Eli, what do we know about the two angles in number 14?
They're complementary.
They are complementary, which means, Jacob, two angles add up to be
90 degrees.
90 degrees. So we know that X plus 71 better add up to 90, which means X is what?
I know what my cat and hat and bag.
I'm going to give you 60 seconds for you and your elbow partner to answer 15 and 16.
Are you ready? Equals 1. Yeah. I'm gonna go pull up my cat and hat.
Oh, on this?
Yeah, why?
Give me it back.
Hey.
This is my pen.
Okay.
Limited edition.
Okay. Have a seat, please.
We traded.
Okay. All right, eyes up here. Kaylee, number 15, what is X? X equals 38. Carly, how did she get 38? Okay, we know that X plus 142 should add up to 180. So she subtracted 142 from 180. Very nice. Okay. All right, DJ, in number 16, what did you find first? Okay, what do we know about these two angles right here? They're vertical, which means they are the, okay, so we know that Y is 54. Okay, now, if we're looking at X, if I just highlight this, DJ, what's going to be true about 54 degrees and X degrees? Yeah, supplementary, which means X would be, okay, which also means Z needs to be 126 because X and Z are vertical angles. Okay. Okay, now let's get a little creative. I like a good creativity here. In number 17, they're telling us that RST is 112 degrees. So how do you suppose we're going to find X? What? Were you like yawning during that? Okay. I'm boring Ellery. Hopefully I'm not boring you. Don't. Well, somebody lost a ring. Could you grab that? Okay. So Ellery says that X and 87 should add up to 112. So if we take 112 and subtract 87, I don't really want to do mental math right now, but I want you to. Oh, good thing I have you guys around. Thanks, Henry. Yeah. All right. Let's talk through number 19. Where should we start? the x and 127. And what do we know about x and 127? They're supplementary. So if 127 plus 53 adds up to 180? Okay. Now where can you go? Ooh, what do we know about x and y? Okay, x and y, I've highlighted that for you. See how we have vertical angles where we have two lines intersecting. They're across from each other. So we know y is 53 also. What did you say?
37.
How are you getting 37? DJ. Okay, we know that this is a straight line. So if this is 90 degrees, well then this needs to be 90 degrees. So we have complementary angles. 53 plus 37 is 90 degrees. Okay, your job is to find me x, w, x, y, and z for 20. You're working on 20.
Are we done with the last one?
Please don't cut it apart. All right, Connor, where did you start? Which one did you want to find first? And what do you know about x? Okay, he's saying x is a right angle. Do you agree with Connor? Yeah, it is. Okay. So from there, Kyra, what did you find?
That W is 56.
And how do you know that W is 56?
34 minus 90 is 56.
Okay, we know that W and 34 are complementary. They add up to 90 degrees. All right. From there, Zayden, what did you find? For what? Y is 34. Okay. He knew that Y was 34. Virgil, what kind of angles are Y and 34? So I said Virgil, not Ginkle. What did you say? They're vertical angles. Very good. Okay. And then Ella, what did you get for letter Z? 146. And Ella knew that that was 146, Caden, because they're supplementary angles. Very good. Okay. Now, your homework is kind of like a two-part assignment. What I want you to do is on the next page, on page 10, I want you to cross out 14 through 19, but then the rest is going to be homework.
Just page 10.
Not just page 10. This is like the first part of your homework. You guys, this is not going to take you very long, page 10.
That was like really hard.
Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go to page 11. Okay. We're going to do a few problems from page 11. What's a little bit different about page 11? We actually have to like set up an equation and solve it. Okay. So let's first talk about in number 1, what kind of angles are we working with? Henry says vertical. Kari, do you agree? Gabe, what do we know about vertical angles?
They're the same.
They are the same. So what am I gonna do with 8x plus 31 and 16x minus 9? What? Okay. Say that again, but louder. Okay, if vertical angles are the same, then these two angles need to equal each other. Right? Okay, write it down. Write down the equation. Okay. Now we need to solve for x. It's 5. You just know it's 5. What did you do first?
Adding 9 to 31.
And does this feel better? We're doing some algebra now in algebra class. Ms. Peralta, they're whining that we're doing geometry and algebra. Oh. Now we're doing algebra. And algebra.
Geometry.
It sure does. It sure does. Okay, so now let's look at number 2. Okay. Now look at number 2. Reese, what do we know about these two angles? Ooh, I like that she said that. They are both adjacent and supplementary. Now the adjacent, that's not really going to affect our algebra, but the supplementary will. Okay. So I have two angles. I have 7x minus 5 and I have 9x minus 7. If these two angles are supplementary, am I going to set these two equal to each other?
No.
No. That's what we did with vertical angles. But what am I going to do if they're supplementary? We're going to add them to equal 180. All right, you're going to solve this while I fill up my water. Most of you are working ahead of me
You
anyway.
have to add like
No. I will tell you. Henry Davis, did you watch the basketball game last night? K-State won. And the K-State girls play tonight. I won't be able to watch it. The last time Ioka Lee played in Manhattan against Oklahoma, she scored 61 points. So it's a record. Yeah. All right. So we have 16x minus 12 equals 180. Do you agree? Okay. Maybe. Okay, so then 16x equals 192. That's what you did? And when we divide by 16, you got 12. Okay, this is what Harry got. Do we agree with Harry? Yeah, we agree with Harry. Is this strenuous?
What does that mean?
Is this a lot of work?
Yes.
What?
So,
How about we're gonna do one more? We're gonna do one more together, and then I'll tell you which ones you can cross off. No. Cross out.
number 9 together.
Why do 5 and 6 look annoying? So let's talk about 5 and 6. Do you need to find x in number 5? Well, I mean, you do, But then once you find X, you have to go one step further and figure out the angles. Okay, so I have a question. I was gonna go through number 3. Would you rather me go through number 5? Well, okay, let's vote. We're gonna do 3 or 5. How many of you would rather see number 3? How many of you would rather see number 5?
Well, which one are we gonna do in the house?
Both.
Why?
Okay. Kyron, what's true about these 2 angles in number 5? Yeah.
The supplementary and
Okay. But we really care about them being supplementary. So if we have supplementary angles, we take both of them. And what do we do with them? Add them to equal 180. Okay. So I have 13x minus 2 equals 180. So 13x equals 182. Brooks, what'd you say X is? 14. Can I get a confirm or deny on 14? Okay. I'm gonna give you a moment in case you're not quite there. He made it. You should be proud of him. That is an amazing.
should be proud of me. I'm so proud of you.
Are you gonna put it?
It's cross-eyed.
You're gonna put it on your bed like a little pillow.
I'm gonna give it to my dog.
Your dog?
Yeah.
You're gonna chew that thing up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really sad. All right. So now I want to know what SQR. So what I want you to do, I want you to follow the letters. Here's S, here's Q, here's R. How am I going to figure out that measure? What are we going to do? Drew. Okay, so SQR is 10x minus 22. So to get this, we're going to say 10x minus 22. What is it? 118. Yeah. Okay, how are we going to get our QT? That's one way. What else could you do? 3x plus 20. Either way, you should get the same answer of okay. So in addition to page 10, what I want you to do here is I want you to do 1 through 5 all, and then 6 through 14 even.
We write this on page 11.
So this is on page 11. Okay, so you're doing page 10, and then on page 11 and 12, this is what you're doing. Okay, now we have 5 minutes. I bet some of you can get page 10 done in the 5 minutes I'm giving you right now. Like, I really think you could. So let's do it.
Like, do you 15, 16? No.
No.